Congresswoman, I have a feeling you're going to get quite a few clips out of this show because I refuse. I call her Commie Camilla on the program, and that may get us in trouble actually during this interview.
Well, if her policies weren't so commie-like, it's real though. And the fact is, I like you said, feline energy. I'm going to have to steal that from you. That's a great name for it. But you're right.
Meow.
Yeah.
Meow. They were like,
kitty.
This grown man coming for you, like crying tears. Meow.
And the other thing is too, like if you turn down the volume, you can actually see them physically, almost like trying to lunge for my body. And I'm like, it's so insane. And by the way, right after the show, here it is. Here's that professor hitting on me, begging for photos, telling me how gorgeous I am, and saying that we look good together, sending me a kissy emoji. That guy doing that, but he's all bent out of shape because of the way I said Kamala. He wasn't bent out of shape. It was all like everything on the radical left. It's just an act. It's just a complete act.
Wait a second. So he does this whole game, this whole like cat and mouse game where he's like, how dare you? We're so upset.
I have blood on my hands.
Legacy, this legacy. You're personally responsible for every bad thing that ever happened in America. Also, I'm going to hit on you.
Yeah, like literally, we have video of it, him begging for the selfie photos. He hits on me afterwards on text, and I'm just like, number one, gross. I don't want your kissy emojis. I don't want you telling me how gorgeous I am or we look good together. Totally. I mean, and it was all just a complete act. They didn't mean anything of it. They just wanted to get likes and get attention. They didn't want to debate the real issues like inflation, like spending, like illegal immigration, or women's issues, by the way, because they won't define what a woman is. But and then to go hit on me afterwards, like, oh, it's all okay. No, it's not okay, because you basically slandered me in live, television like that, saying I had the blood of Black people on my hands. When the fact is Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, rapper Lil Jon, Al Sharpton, Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor can't say her name for what. Like, give me an effing break.
Congresswoman, she can't say her name. We have miles of tape. Feel free to grab it. Let's grab it, boys. Like we have miles of to prove your point. We have miles of tape of her saying her name the way that you said her name on CNN. So, I mean, I guess go to the source, right?
Yeah.
100%. I think the same day Joe Biden introduced her the way that you said her name on CNN. And so it's like, just call it.
They say it worse. They say Kamala. And I'm like, Kamala sounds like a flower. It sounds beautiful. Allah is the way Indians say it in Indian culture. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't say it wrong. I now know it's Kamala. Some people want to say Kamila, whatever you want to say it. It's just like, it's so, let's talk about what you're going to do to women and underage girls if these people are in charge. Let's talk about the spending and inflation that Kamala is personally responsible for being the deciding vote on inflationary spending. Let's talk about how she wants illegals to vote in our elections and wants them to come across the border. I mean, they don't want to talk about real policies because their policies are wrong for America. They don't put our citizens first.
Just really quickly covering here. The guy's pickup line didn't work then afterwards.
No, oh, hell no. God, no. I mean, absolutely not. I'm not dating at all right now. I'm like 100% married to the job, focused on the work and working for the American people right now. But it's just disgusting. And it's like, anybody wants to come after me and make claims that I'm racist, I just show them the text. I'm like, here's the video of him begging me for photos and selfies after the show, and then hitting on me afterwards. It was all just a complete act. It was all a lie. That's what the radical left does. It is a complete and utter lie. They are lying to the American people. They are gaslighting to the American people. And all I want to share with the American people is the truth. That is what everybody deserves, regardless of your political party or affiliation or who you're voting for. You deserve the truth. And the most truthful man running for president is Donald J. Trump. And that's who we've all got to support.
So left-wing feline men with feminine energy, they get the hard swipe left. Learn that, boys. Okay, learn that.
Feline energy. I love this.
Yep, left-wing men get the swipe left. Okay, that's how it works. That's how it works out here in the jungle. All right. So Mike Johnson may attach the proof of citizenship voting law to stopgap spending bill. I'm sure the SAVE Act. I'm sure you're very excited about this. I believe the SAVE Act's already passed the House, correct, on party lines. Can you talk us through the strategy as you said, Mary?
Well, I hope that we finally have to attach something related to the border to a spending measure. We should have done it earlier this year. It did not happen. It was a separate measure and didn't have the intended effect, as we knew what would happen. We must tie it to spending, because that's the only way things are going to change. And I tell you, I represent a very purple, independent leaning district. People are sick of what's going on at the border. Even in South Carolina, people are dying of fentanyl. Illegals are killing children. There's sex trafficking, human trafficking, all these things. People are tired of it. And I'm tired of writing strongly worded letters. And so if we can attach a really monumental illegal immigration measure to a spending bill, I'm going to 100% be for it. I hope that our leadership has the guts and the glory and the courage to follow it through to the end, because that's what's got to happen here.
So this would presumably pass the House, and then it would go over to the Senate. And what would Mitch McConnell do?
I don't know that it actually will pass the House. I think
Really?
there are Republicans who will vote against it and vote it down. I think that that might be part of the plan, to have a certain number of Republicans vote with Democrats and vote it down. And then they go back to their usual omnibus, minibus, continuing resolution, doing what they've always done, would be my guess is what happens.
Oh, it's an absolute shame. It really is such an easy question, which is, do you support democracy? If you support democracy, you should be in support of Americans and only Americans voting. And it's like
right. Well, and it was just in Alabama, right? How many illegal voters did they find in Alabama voter rolls? One of the most conservative states in the union, in the country, over 3,000 illegals on their voter rolls. What do you think that number is in New York or California or Georgia or North Carolina? How many illegals are on those states' voter rolls, and how many are voting?
So it's a bit of a perilous time, right? There are the hundreds of thousands of voters being found on voting rolls in red states, and of course, Democrats would never dare purge their voter rolls. Although it does seem like they're it does seem like the desperation is beginning to set in, that they may not, even with the change of batter and the hot swap, they may not be able to defeat Trump again. It does also seem very strange that we've got no information on the shooter for President Trump. You were posting about this yesterday. We obviously are very we obviously love the fact that you were one of the people who single-handedly destroyed Kim Cheadle. Probably got her to resign.
100%.
Yeah, and so we thank you for that. But now that that's done, and they've sort of hung this around her neck, now what? Now we've learned virtually nothing about the most, an on live TV presidential assassination. Like, they wanted to execute the guy live on TV. But you're saying here 46 days and this is all they've got? No motive?
100%. And even though we don't have motive, we still have a lot of information. We know this guy climbed a roof with a long barrel gun and people witnessed it and nobody did anything. We know that he got a shot off 100 yards away, came within a millimeter of shooting a former and future president of the United States. We have a lot of information so far, but no one in either the Homeland Security, FBI, or Secret Service is willing to follow up on any of it, and are leaving us with no answers. Like, this cannot continue. Like, when we get back in session, I expect this task force to go right at it. It shouldn't be happening no matter who's president. We know that even the vice president has had issues on our Secret Service detail as well. That should be investigated. But here's a guy who's a former and future president. There was just another assassination attempt that we heard about a couple weeks ago. We know that there are foreign adversaries like Iran that are trying to do things and harm Donald Trump as well. And we are owed answers. And I'm going to take a victory lap on Kim Cheadle. It wasn't the cursing that did it. She earned every bit of that. But it was, I believe, the privileged motion that I filed on her impeachment. Had I not forced a vote on her impeachment, she would have stayed in office, because every other impeachment filing was not privileged. It wasn't going to force a vote again. I am sick and tired of talking about things. What are we going to actually do? I mean, what are we physically going to do to change the direction of this country? And it had to be done. And I'm going to take full credit for it. She had to go. Now we need to, I think, disassemble, reassemble, and rebuild the Secret Service to do what they are supposed to do, what they have been tasked with doing, their mission.
I think like the basic measure of reinstituting some faith in an organization is just telling the truth. And so let's hear the truth about how this 20-year-old with no military training created a very, very sophisticated bomb. We just found out that it's not just a pipe bomb. Like, he created a very sophisticated bomb that could have really hurt people, and was designed to go off in concert with an assassination and to draw security away from President Trump. And this was a plan. How did this guy get this training? We all are well aware of what happens if you Google search these things. Don't do it. All right. Don't do it unless you want to knock at the door. How it is becoming really hard. The conspiracy theorists are the people who are saying that this guy acted alone, I think.
Yeah, and it's not, you don't have to believe in conspiracy to know that there's a conspiracy in this thing. There's a conspiracy to cover it up. If you believe in no other conspiracy, there is absolutely reason to believe that the agencies, the FBI, Homeland Security, and Secret Service are covering up. They sent Kim Cheadle to testify before Congress without providing her any. I think they refused to provide her information, so she couldn't answer a single question. That in and of itself is a conspiracy to hide the crime. And so you don't have to have a tinfoil hat to know that the government is covering it up. This is just straight up cover up. I mean, it's all right there. You've seen it in the hearings, and you'll probably see more of it. There's no reason for them to be silent and not provide any information. We literally saw Secret Service be asked for information. They didn't provide a single document, not one piece of information that we asked for. That in and of itself is a cover up, and that's a conspiracy.
You know, you're in charge, right? Your branch is in charge, and then they incinerated the evidence. Like, you're in charge of a criminal investigation. I know you're not specifically on. I know that you're not on the task force. However, I know that you have.
Can you imagine if I was? Can you imagine? Nobody wants me on their task force. I can promise you that.
We're banging the gong and saying put Nancy Mace on there because maybe you'd find out why they incinerated his body. Why was the FBI scrubbing all the biological evidence off the roof? Like, why would you do that? It actually screams cover up.
Most famous assassination attempt in modern times, and you burn the body.
I don't. Yeah, something's wrong. Like by definition, something's terribly wrong. So do you believe he acted alone?
It's hard to say because we don't have the information. I find it hard to believe that a 20-year-old was this successful with that many law enforcement individuals on the ground and that many people telling the police that somebody was up there. I don't know if there was a second person, but it's worth investigating all of the potential scenarios. There's not one scenario that should be off the table because we haven't gotten a single piece of information. So yes, people are going to immediately assume there's some kind of a conspiracy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know, like the way to actually eliminate conspiracies is just tell the truth, right? You just begin to tell the truth. So this seems to be a problem, and it's something we had to get to in this interview because you are from the South. You're proudly from the South. You proudly represent a very, very famous Southern city, a Southern city just rich in culture and beauty, and like the old Southern ways and incredible food. And I love your district, and I love where you're from. And so you know the South. I mean, there's just no other two ways about it. You know the South. Right. And so when you hear Kamala Harris using these during only very specific scenarios, using these Southern accents, these very very foghorn leghorn accents, right? Like put upon accents that are totally unnatural. And is not the way that she speaks at like a NATO summit, right? With Jan Stoltenberg. What does this say to you?
Well, it's actually kind of racist if you think about it. I mean, like, that's the thing. I think the biggest racism, the biggest sexism is actually with the radical left. And it's dangerous because it's so subcutaneous. It's so under the surface, right? And it's an act. She's from California. She grew up in Canada. She's from California. They don't talk like that. You know, in my district, there are people that have lots of different accents, Southern included, depending on what town you're from. That's all perfectly normal, but not in her line of work, not in her job, not where she grew up. I mean, I say y'all, that's about as Southern as I get. I've lived all over the country, and it's just bizarre. And I think it's racist. Honestly, it's just the strangest thing.
So I mean, I guess it does beg the question, like, what does it say about a person who will change the way she talks, like to match, to get the applause of strangers, the adulation of strangers in specific audiences. And she does, again, she doesn't do this when she's talking in the leafy suburbs.
And she does it with such ease and such comfort. And it's like not even, she doesn't even know. I mean, it's AOC's done it. We've seen these people on the left adopt a certain dialect or a certain accent to talk to certain audiences. And they just think the American people are stupid, you know, and for me, I don't think independents are going to buy it. I think it'll actually backfire because people see that it's all an act. Whether or not you like Donald Trump, what he does is speak the truth, and he speaks from the heart. He wears his heart on his sleeve. What you get from Kamala Harris is lies and gaslighting, and she's being disingenuous. She's being sexist. She's being racist. It's all an act. What the left has done, the radical left, they're not even left anymore. They're absolutely capital R radical left. Is showing you their true colors, and we ought to believe them.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of gas lanterns in your district to tie into this. She's against fracking. She said it many times. She says she wants to ban fracking. And then the first question out of the gate on that CNN interview, which I'm sure you watched, was a total and complete flip on that issue. And it's like it never happened. And it's like, how do you trust those people, right? You say gaslighting. Well, she's definitely against you having gas too light. But here we are.
And whatever policies she's had over the last 4 years, she's now flip-flopped on them. And what policies she has, she's stolen from Donald Trump's website. So if you want to know what her next big policy is, we should all just visit donaldtrump.com, donaldjtrump.com, and look up what his policies are, because now she wants a wall. 4 years ago, she was mocking the wall and mocking Donald Trump for wanting to build a wall, and yet now she wants a wall. That's BS. I mean, it's all a lie. It's all gaslighting. It's all an act. She doesn't mean any of it.
Final closing message here, 63 days away. Obviously, you're a strong Trump ally, Donald Trump endorsed candidate. You're running in your own race, but yeah, I've seen you hitting the trail and out and about. I actually saw you at a Trump rally in South Carolina, right there outside of Raleigh. And so it's like, this seems very, very winnable for President Trump. I'm not sure he's the underdog, actually, but preview of the debates and preview of the election to come.
Well, number one, I hope that we all will focus on women's issues. Inflation and spending is a big one. Illegal immigration is a big one. But as Republicans, I don't want us to forget about women's issues and how far back Kamala Harris will set women. She'll set them back 100 years if she's ever president of the United States. And that is an issue that independent women, suburban women, women in purple districts are really contemplating. Do I vote for her because she's a woman? Or do I vote for the man who's going to protect women? And I'm voting for Donald Trump because I am a woman. I am voting for Donald Trump because I am a rape survivor. I am voting for Donald Trump because I want women to be protected. I want them to be safe. I want their kids to be safe and prosperous. That's why. And we need to go back and remember that and not be afraid of it, that we're on the right side of history here. This is a woman who would allow a biological adult male to shower next to an underage girl in a locker room. I don't think so. Not over my dead body. These are people that want parents' rights taken away if their kid identifies with a different pronoun or wants to cut a body part off while they're underage, and they don't want the parents to know about it. It's sick. It's disgusting. It's perverted. And what they will do to women and girls, there is nothing that will stop them. They can't define what a woman is. They want to take women's and girls' scholarships away in academia. They want men to take away their trophies in Olympic sports. I mean, all these things, this is what they're doing, and there's nothing in the way to stop them except for this election. And I just don't want us to forget about how important women are. They're half the country. They will be voting. They will be turning out to vote. And we need to convert as many of them as possible and share with them and show them why Donald Trump protects women, not Kamala Harris.
I think they are. I mean, I saw it in my own household, that RFK endorsement, man, talking about the health of children, the health of our food, the quality of the food that we feed our children. Man, those are resonant issues. And there's only one candidate and campaign talking about it.
And he's got Tulsi Gabbard. He's got Tulsi Gabbard on board now. Yeah. I think she's terrific, and she's going to be helpful with women. These independent issues, whether it's vaccinations, food, our healthcare system, the women's issues, that's where we get that middle, center-right, center-left voter. They may not like either candidate, and we want them to pull the lever for Trump no matter what.
Yeah, well, there we go. If you want to support this happening and materializing in November, please go and follow Congresswoman Nancy Mace here on 300,000 Americans can't be wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Congresswoman from South Carolina.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you as always.